We recently, or I guess 1 year ago, launched Quorum Copilot, which is the AI superpower for public affairs teams. It helps make those hard things easy, like keeping up with all legislative activity across all the states, summarizing documents, all that kind of stuff that took hours can now take minutes, which opens you up to having more time to do things that really matter for you and your team. So with that, I would love to bring up Brian to the stage to share a little bit more about his tips for prompting. All right. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you so much. It is great to be here. It's great to be with Quorum and all your great clients and partners, and to join you again, Patrick. So great. Thanks to everybody for tuning in today. My name is Brian Rubenstein. So just very quickly about me, I've spent a career in political campaigns, agency life. I was at the American Cancer Society for a long time, running their digital advocacy program. And then several years ago, I went out on my own and launched Rubenstein Impact Group. We work with nonprofit organizations and membership organizations, generally helping them increase their advocacy impact and drive more engagement from their volunteers and members. So that could be everything from creating great emotionally driven narratives and storytelling through their email campaigns and digital content, to helping organizations build out high impact programs for their more highly engaged volunteers. So a lot of different things. I've done it for a lot of different organizations. Some of those you'll recognize, some of those you won't, but that's all right. But that is definitely enough about me, because that is not why you tuned in today. So we are here to talk about AI. And Patrick, I think we're going to launch with a poll to get a sense of where everybody is at the moment. So you should have a poll coming up on your screen. And there is no right or wrong answer here. Whether you've been using AI for a little while, I think you're going to really find some really interesting things to improve the work you're doing with AI. And if you are brand new or just dipping your toe in, we're going to have some, I think you're going to get like a jaw-dropping moment before we're done today. So give folks a moment to answer the poll question. All right, Patrick, I'll let you let me know when we're done voting. Let you share the results.
Yeah, look at that. So we got about most folks are saying they're either feeling pretty confident or not so confident. We have those two middle ones are the ones that are really popping off here. We have about 7 folks who say they don't use it, and 1 person who says that they're an AI expert. So we'd love to chat with them. Brian, was that you?
Absolutely.
Was that you?
Fantastic. All right. Why don't we dive into the slides? We'll make everybody an AI expert. All right. Let's go. All right. I messed up my slide thing completely here. So give me 1 moment to try to get this back. All right. That's not going to work. No worries. Okay. Oh, I did get it back. Fantastic. So just real briefly, where can AI help you in your advocacy work? And the answer is pretty much everywhere. So you can see along sort of the bottom, those green arrows there, a lot of things AI can do to help you with your legislative work, with your lobbying, with your policy tracking, your bills, seeing what legislators are saying about different issues that your organization's passionate about. And Quorum obviously does a lot of great stuff with their Copilot system with that, as well as with the grassroots side. So many things that AI can help with, from brainstorming ideas and tactics to coming up with strategies, to writing great content, which is where we're going to focus a lot of our time today, but also analyzing your performance data to figure out how can you increase your engagement? How can you make your content even stronger than it was previously? So a lot of different ways that AI can help not only increase your capability, but also expand your capacity without you having to work nights and weekends to do it. So we're going to talk about the 6 steps to writing AI prompts. And you see here, it talks about writing great advocacy emails, but the steps we're going to talk about today really apply across any type of content that you want to work with AI to help create. But we're gonna do a demo a little bit later. It'll be email specific. But again, this is going to apply across any type of AI content that you want to develop. So, and I will say, it's a little agenda. What we're going to do is we're going to walk through these 6 steps. And then after that, we're going to jump into AI. And we're actually going to do a demo. It's going to be very interactive. You're going to be using the chat. If you remember Mad Libs from your childhood, it's going to be a little Mad Libs aspect to it. So stay tuned as we go through the 6 steps. And then we're really going to have some fun. So, all right, let's dive in. So, when you're creating a prompt, let me talk about prompts for just a moment also. So you hear words like prompt, you hear terms like prompt engineering, and immediately people say, I'm not an engineer. I can't do this prompting, this engineering stuff. This is not for me. The great news is I guarantee you're already doing it. So if you have ever said, hey, Alexa, or hey, Siri, you're doing prompting. That's all it is. You're telling a piece of technology what you want. So if I'm in my kitchen, I'm cooking dinner, I say, hey, Alexa, play some OAR music. I love OAR. If you're not familiar with them, check them out. Great music. And Alexa will start playing some music. I said, no, Alexa, play OAR live at Red Rocks. That was prompt engineering. So asking Alexa to play the music was the first prompt, but I engineered that prompt. I improved it so Alexa could more quickly get to the music I actually wanted to listen to. That's all it is. No engineering involved whatsoever. Just doing the things you're already doing, but on a different platform. So, all right, now that you know you can do prompt engineering, you can do prompting, let's talk about the 6 steps. So the first one is role. This is where you want to tell the AI, which you can either do through typing, or on a lot of platforms, you can actually just speak right to it. But let's assume you're typing. But you're going to tell the AI, from what perspective do you want it to write your content? And this is where you're going to flatter AI a bit too. So I might say, you are a grassroots advocacy expert with 25 years of experience generating highly engaging content that drives volunteers and members and donors to take the actions we want them to take. So really pile it on. Or maybe you're writing for a scientific audience. You're going to say you're a PhD level scientist with 30 years of academic experience in a particular field. Or maybe you want to write something from a child perspective. So you're a 7-year-old talking to adults about this issue. So whatever the case might be, you're going to help the AI understand, here's the perspective I want you to write from, and it'll also begin to define the style that you want it to write in. All right, so that's the first. That's role. Number 2, task. You got to tell the AI, what is it you want it to create? So do you want an email to your volunteers or members? Do you want a 5-page report or a 20-page report? Maybe you want social media content, or maybe you just want to brainstorm for some ideas. But you're going to tell the AI, here's what I want from you. And you would be as specific as you can. If you want a report, don't just say a report, say a 5-page report or a 1-page report. If you want to email, talk about sort of the parameters of that. We're going to get that a little bit more into that in a moment with one more step. But be specific, tell AI what you want so it knows what you're asking for. All right, number 3, audience. Who are you writing to? This is critically important because it's going to impact the style that the content is written in. So if I work with a lot of health organizations, and so if I'm writing an email to cancer survivors, cancer patients, and their caregivers, that's very different than the scientist client that I work with, where we're writing to scientists and medical researchers. Very different audiences, very different needs, very different styles. And so you want to tell AI as much as you can about that audience. So don't just say, well, we're writing to volunteers. Say we're writing to our volunteers, to about 30,000 volunteers who are middle-aged men and women, typically live in the suburbs, who are passionate about Crohn's disease because they have a loved one who has been impacted by it. And so whatever it is, really help define that, draw those parameters so AI can make sure it's writing for the right group of people. All right, we're halfway there. We're halfway to get into the fun stuff where we dive into the interactive piece. So number 4, tone. So I mentioned earlier on when I was giving my background, I'm a huge believer in emotionally driven content. And the reason is very simple, because the testing I've done over the years shows that emotionally driven content drives more action and more engagement than strictly factual based content. Now, the emotions you use are definitely going to differ based on your audience. So I mentioned cancer patients and caregivers and cancer survivors. Those have very different emotions than that scientific community. And yes, scientists have emotions too, and scientists do respond to emotions too, but it is very different. So whereas a patient, or maybe you're in the environmental community or the human rights community or other types of areas where it's about people and people's well-being and livelihood. So they're going to respond to very touching things. They're going to respond to very personal things. Scientists, they're going to respond to maybe urgency, to timeliness, to value, how an action you want them to take is going to benefit them. And so everyone responds well to emotions, but it is different for every audience. And so you're going to tell AI, when my audience reads this email or reads this report, this is how I want them to feel. So you're also going to tell them what you want them to learn, but you're going to be sure to tell them, here's what I want them to feel, because that's going to help give you better content in the end. And hopefully you're already using that emotional approach in the content you're creating now. Next item is format. How do you want this content to look? There's a lot of different ways to present a report, a lot of different ways to format an email. So for advocacy emails, things we know that work well for a lot of audiences, I'll tell the AI, I want my email to be 300 words or less. I want each paragraph to be no more than 2 or 3 sentences, because no one likes reading long paragraphs. I want you to bold 2 sentences in that email to help that make the most compelling point, the most compelling information that's going to convince that volunteer member or donor to take the action I want them to take. If you're going to provide a lot of data or information, please do it in a bullet point format so it's very easily digestible. The same is true if you're asking AI to help you write a report. I want a 5-page report. I want section headers at the top of each section in bold, a different font, and I want them in blue instead of black for the rest of the content. Please use tables, not charts. Our people don't like charts, but use tables to represent the data that I'm going to provide to you or that you find in your own research. So all these types of specifications, the more information you can provide, the closer the AI is going to give you just what you're looking for. So, all right, we got one more left. This is also important, is background. Don't make AI guess everything about you. Yeah, it's been fed the internet. It's read the whole internet, but let's help narrow it down so it can be most effective for you. And there's a lot of different types of things that this could include. I usually do if I'm using AI with a client, which I always disclose to all my clients that I'm using AI to help bolster and improve our work together. But I will take the about section of their website. I'll copy and paste it into a prompt or upload it to the AI platform. If I'm asking it to write an email from, let's say, Sarah, I'm going to pull the last 5 or 6 emails that came from Sarah, and I'm going to upload that into the AI platform so it can see what Sarah's voice and tone and approach looks like, so it can write based on that voice. If you're asking it to create a report or a toolkit, upload an example of one you did previously so it can model after that. And then, of course, give it background information about your issue, the policy you're putting forward, how you typically approach it, data and statistics that you like to use. So just sort of load it up with information. The nice thing is it reads it instantly. It's not like it's going to take 10 minutes or an hour to read through everything. So put all of that up there, and that's going to get you, again, what we're trying to do is get you to a great result as quickly as possible. So, all right, so those are the 6 things, but there's a bonus thing as well. And this is where you're really going to feel like you're talking to your computer and expecting it to answer back. And the nice thing is it will. So I like to treat talking to AI like talking to a junior staffer and treating the AI platform just like I would a junior staffer. And so I'm going to give it all this information it needs to create this content. And then I'm going to always say at the end, before you start writing, do you have any questions? So think about it. If you had that junior staff in your office, you would certainly give them a chance to ask you questions before you sent them on their way to complete the assignment. We're going to do the same thing with AI. We're going to say, do you have any questions? Literally just like that. Before you start writing, please ask me any questions you have. And about 70% of the time, it's going to come back to you with questions. It could be 4, 5, 6, 7 questions. And that's great, because what that means is AI has analyzed all that information you just gave it, and it's found some holes that it knows if it can fill, it's going to give you a better result. So answer those questions nice and fully. It might even come back to you with a follow-up question, and that's okay. Give it that information and then let it get to work for you. Now, speaking of you, AI can't do all the work, and that's good news. There is still a role for humans to play when using AI. Yeah, AI might take over the world at some point, but it hasn't done it yet. So your job is safe, and there is still a very important role for you to play. Several, in fact. So the first is you're going to need to refine what AI provides. Even if you write a fabulous prompt, which of course you'll do after going through this, your fabulous prompt, AI is still going to only get you about 70 to 80% of the way there. It's always going to require a little bit of polish and stylistic tuning on your part before you're ready to click send or click publish on whatever that content might be. But let AI write that second or third draft for you, again, just like you might for a junior staffer. So when it creates that first draft, give it feedback. I like this part. I don't like that part. I don't like these bullet points. Take this out, bold this instead of that. Change the style to be a little bit more friendly or a little bit more funny, whatever the case might be. So give it that feedback, and then in 30 seconds, you're going to have another iteration of that content. And I'm sure your junior staffer is great, but they're probably not getting you that next draft in 30 seconds. And you might go through 2, 3, or 4 drafts before you get to that point where like, all right, AI has clearly gone as far as it can for me on this. And that's when it's your job to finish up that last 20% and polish it off. The second thing, very important, we've all heard the term hallucination, that AI hallucinates. That's really just a very nice way of saying AI makes stuff up. And so any fact that AI puts into something that's written for you, a data point, any type of fact, you're going to want to double check that, because it's very possible it completely made it up. I see it all the time. It might even give you a source. Guess what? AI is known for completely making up sources. It'll even show you the little footnote. It might be totally fictional. So make sure you fact check with your policy people or others, anything that AI added to that content. And then lastly, be sure you reuse these prompts. You don't have to start from scratch every time you work with AI. Save this prompt in a notepad or Google Doc or wherever you might like. And then next time you have to create a prompt, start with this one, copy and paste it, and then just refine it some. And what you'll find is over time, you're going to just continue to improve it, improve it, improve it. So again, it's just about being more and more efficient and getting closer to that 80% result that you want. So, all right, we're going to create a prompt together. But before I do that, I think, Patrick, anything that you want to, any commentary you want to throw in, a little color commentary to help folks out?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the asking questions bit of asking your AI to ask questions is so genius, because, oftentimes you know what you want, but you don't know what you don't know you want, right? So oftentimes it'll ask questions that make you really think a little bit deeper about what is it that you're looking for. And so it helps you get to that final answer a lot faster. And then also it's helpful to know what your model is trained on. So, for example, if you're going with, some of the general ones like Claude and ChatGPT, it's trained on a whole lot of info across, the internet. So it could be pulling from things like Reddit, all that kind of fun stuff, or which you never know what subreddit it's pulling from, right? Especially as it relates to public policy, that kind of stuff matters a lot. So it's a quick plug for Quorum, where we're trained on Quorum data on that primary set. So it's not just going to make up stuff relates to legislation. It's trained on specifically what's in our product through all that primary data. So as you're drafting some stuff related to policy, make sure you know what your model is trained on. But yeah, Brian, let's go ahead and get into this.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you saw a lot of the different platforms that are there. Some you're familiar with. There's lots of other platforms out there. And what we're going to do today is works for any of those types of platforms. And Patrick talked about, obviously, Quorum's got a lot of great things it does. Does some really great stuff in the legislative space, and its grassroots capabilities are increasing. I even saw a little behind the scenes got to talk to one of the product people. There's some really cool stuff coming into the future as a grassroots person that I'm excited about. But let's go ahead and jump in. This is going to be highly interactive, so get ready to toss into the chat. We're going to throw in that Mad Libs thing. So, part of the time, whenever someone does a demo, you're like, oh, it's sort of like a Vegas magician, right? Oh, they've got it all set up already. They know what the outcome's going to be. We are not going to do that. You're going to see that this is going to be completely live. So we're going to get a true output based on prompts that you help us create. So I'm going to share my screen just to show you, to move us to Claude. So Claude is by Anthropic. It's very similar to ChatGPT and some of the others out there. Personally, I think Claude does the best job in creative writing for content, so I like it for that. But what we do will apply to anything. All right, so let's start with the chat. And Patrick can help me go through it and give me some winners here. I need the name of an organization. You can make it. We can use your organization, make up a fun organization, whatever you want. Give me the name of an organization.
Yeah, let's make up something fun. Okay. Seeing spacey sprockets. I don't know what that means.
It's the Jetsons reference.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I feel like a...
Give me a good nonprofit name. Give me a good...
All right, I like this one. Let's do Cat Foster Moms.
Cat Foster, all right. It always comes down to cats when we do these demos. All right, so you can see my initial prompt, right? This is the role portion that we talked about. You're an advocacy engagement expert with 25 years of experience writing compelling content that drives advocates to complete actions that help pass federal legislation. You are the grassroots director for the Cat Foster Moms. All right, we need to get a policy passed. What policy do we want to get passed? It's a life-changing policy that's going to achieve what?
All right, chat, I need your help here. Give cats the... I like that one. That's a good one, Ryan. Give cats the right to vote. Let's do it.
That will. All right.
I don't know if I trust him.
Cats
but
the right to vote. All right. So I said in April of this year here, we'll say in November, in the reconciliation bill that Congress will vote on, we have the best ever chance of advocating a life-changing policy. It would certainly be life-changing if we gave cats the right to vote. All right. Hold on, we're going to stop it here. So now we're going to give AI the task. Don't worry about that little policy. I hit enter when I shouldn't have. That's all right. So our task is this. We want AI to write an email to our 40,000 volunteers, members, and donors, asking them to send a message to the U.S. Senator in support of this life-saving policy. All right, demographics. Who is our audience?
Who is the audience?
The typical recipient of this email is who?
Ooh, okay. That's a great one.
It cannot be cats.
It cannot be cats. Cats don't have emails, as far as I'm sure. All right, let's keep it as simple here with just cat lovers. Let's say that it's all cat lovers.
All cat lovers.
Though I do like some of your ideas. Folks have let's switch it up. Let's do dog owners, but let's say cat lovers. Let's say cat lovers.
All right. We're going to do cat lovers. All right, let's talk emotions. Let's talk tone. What do we want the tone of these people to be? What emotions do we want this email to leverage to get people to complete this action? Toss out a few emotions we want to leverage.
Okay, Benjamin saying urgency. Urgency keeps popping up for sure. Fear and rage. All
right, urgency, fear, and rage. This is going to be good.
I like where everybody's headspace is at today. That's good.
All right, let's go to that fifth step. Let's go to format. So, the sort of example I used earlier, we want the email to be no more than 300 words. Each paragraph should be 1 to 3 sentences. We're going to have it bold 2 sentences. If you use a series of acts, place them in bullet point formats. What other formatting do we want to include in here?
All right, folks, what kind of format are we thinking? Let's do, Brett, what are some smart brevity? That's a great example, Molly. What are some kind of formats that we should be thinking about, Brian? Like, what are some options that folks usually use?
So this is one where I kind of gave you a lot of the answers already in the prompt that I wrote. You know, you could do it in, I hate to even say this out loud, but you could ask it to do in some type of poetry format. You could. I have never done that for a client, but since we're obviously being a little creative today and getting our cats to vote. So there are some creative things, but what I've got there is pretty much the normal for writing an email. Obviously, if you're doing, oh gosh, you're laughing, I'm getting scared. But if you're doing a report, there's a lot more that you would put in here as well.
I really like Peter's suggestion here of putting an iambic pentameter.
Let's try it.
Let's see what it comes up with.
I should never have said that. I have not tried that before, but let's see. All right. Last thing, give me 3 important things that AI should know about our organization.
All right, what do you think? We're 3? We're broke. We don't have limited funding, we can say. We are not serious people. Interesting. Okay, our board includes dogs.
All right. So we've got our background. Obviously, for real issue, we'd be putting fact sheets, like I said, putting more information about the organization and such. And then, of course, like I said, we're going to say, do you have any questions before you start writing?
I'm sure it will.
I am scared to hit enter here. Let's see what it comes back with. It does have questions. All right. What specific action do we want people to take? So use our online cat-friendly advocacy platform to send message to their U.S. senators. What's the time frame for this reconciliation bill vote? How urgent is urgent? Should we say next week?
Let's do it. Next week is great.
As you can see, I'm just going right down the line answering the questions. Very quick and simple. So I include any talking points about why cat voting rights specifically matter. Oh, absolutely. If for no other reason than to see what it says.
Right.
You want me to mention the organization's unique board composition?
Let's do it. That makes sense.
Yes.
It sounds pretty credible.
Shows inclusiveness, widespread popularity for our issue. It just wants to confirm you want the email written in iambic pentameter. That's quite challenging for advocacy copy.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
please. Cool. Iambic pentameter.
It's never told me that it's hard before or that it's difficult to do before. And so
it's just like that junior staffer who's sort of giving you that look like, seriously, you want me to do this? But
exactly.
Let's see what it can do. All right, I'm going to hit enter here. And now what's going to do is going to take a moment and it's going to start churning out information. Uh-oh, it's talking back to us. It's not comfortable writing content that presents fictional legislation as real. So this is where the conscience of AI comes out a little bit. All right, so we're going to have to change it up a little bit. It can write us something satirical. Do we want to go satirical or do we want to switch to a different issue that's more serious?
I'm so curious about this now. So let's say satirical. Yeah. All right. Folks in the chat are agreeing here. Yeah, I love that.
Let's start with going satirical, and then we'll come back to something serious in a moment.
Great. I love Jill of your comment. The robots are angry at us.
Yes.
Claude setting boundaries. That's right, Madeline.
But what's great about that, it shows you that it really does think. So it really is processing your information more so than anything we've seen in the past.
Does anybody want to look up to see if catvote.org is taken or if we'll need to buy it?
All right, you can see its headline. It is playing right along with you, right along with us from the very get-go. The perfect democracy act needs you. So what you can see here, and we will save this if in case people want to see this later on. Maybe when you send out the recording, we'll make sure that this is in there too, so people can see it. But you can see it is in the format we asked for. It has the 2 bolded areas that we asked for. The paragraphs are short, just like we said. Here's our action. And it did put this in bullet point format, which isn't quite how we wanted the action, but that's all right. This is why you do different drafts.
Even the bullet points are still in iambic pentameter.
They are. It's very impressive. It notes here that our board includes dogs. Say that the dogs stand firm and strong along this. So the creatures who have been with us all along. And then it signed it from the Cat Foster Moms Grassroots team. Purrs for the people, meows for democracy. There you go. It's even creating taglines for you. All right, awesome. That is pretty good. All right, let's switch issues for just a moment.
Brian, do you mind copy pasting that to send it to us?
I will definitely, I will definitely get you that.
All right.
I promise. All right, so let's get serious now. The issue is no additives in cat food. The board doesn't include dogs, but does have dog lovers. Right, a viewer version of this email using the criteria I provided earlier.
Brian, I just have to say, your typing is exquisite.
I know, right? Normally you share your screen and your typing goes away completely. I'm very excited. And so again, very similar thing. It gave us a headline: corporate greed is poisoning our cats. Now that might be too strong for you. And if so, you're gonna tell, yeah, you know what? We don't want to be anti-corporate. We want to be pro-cat. Again, it had short paragraphs like we asked, some bolded sections. So let's give it a little bit of feedback. So I'm going to tell it, don't be anti-corporate. Be pro-cat. And make the action a sentence, not in the bullet points. Oh, see, you said something about my typing, and now it's going away. Here we go. So I'm going to give it some feedback. And again, whereas that junior staffer is going to take a little while, AI is going to give it to us, Claude's going to give it to us in just a matter of seconds. All right, still working here. It did not, it's still focused on corporate greed. We're going to have to yell at it for a moment. Actually, if I expand my screen, it might get a little bit more content. Here we go. So I'm expanding my screen. And so you can see it's also, so I was just sort of focusing on the content it was providing, but it's also giving us feedback. So it's telling you exactly what it's done. I've updated the email to be pro-cat rather than anti-corporate. I'll say, but the headline is still anti-corporate. There we go. And now I'll just change the headline for us to move away from that. And Claude tends to be very nice, also very complimentary. It's like, oh, perfect catch. And so the beauty of this is not only will it create this initial content, but let's say, you know what? Please create 5 subject lines to consider. And what I'll oftentimes do is I will actually upload email performance data. It'll analyze that data and give me subject lines based on that data. So you can see very quickly, give me lots of different options for subject lines. And of course, I can also say, create a Facebook, an Instagram post to complement this. And be sure to use social media best practices. So I know I'm going a little off the prompt engineering, but just to show you how much further you can go with this. Again, very quickly, it's going to provide you social media content. And you can always tell when it's when someone copy and pasted directly from AI because there's a lot of emojis.
Right.
So that's one of the giveaways. Emojis and M dashes are a sign that someone just copied and pasted from AI without really giving it that extra 20% polish. So, all right, that is the demo. Anything else folks wanted to see? Otherwise, we'll move into Q&A.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get right into Q&A. All right.
All right. So I'm going to stop sharing.
This great question about, do you ever use AI to A/B test products? Whether that's...
So you can use...
sorry, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking, when we're thinking about products, I was thinking about like the emails or the copy that you use, generally speaking.
Absolutely. So you can tell AI, I want to run an A/B test. I want you to write this first version with emotionally driven content, the second version with factually driven content. Or you might say, I want a version with a personal story and a version that doesn't focus on stories. So yeah, let AI write both of those versions for you. Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. One other great thing is then you can test it too on with your Grassroots program. So for example, with Quorum, you can use A/B testing for your emails, and you can test to see, does the emotional language work better or does the factual language work better? So you can use, then you can actually get the real data on what resonates most with your audience, with what Brian mentioned before. Every audience is different and needs, different messaging and tactics there. All right. Next question here from Andrew. Does AI provide for saved formatted prompts, or do I need my specifics every prompt?
It's a great question. It depends if you don't mind paying $20 a month. If you want to use the free version of ChatGPT or Claude or otherwise, then yes, you're going to need to start from scratch every time. But if you're willing to pay $20 a month, I will tell you it's a great $20 a month. Convince your boss to pay for it. It's going to come out of pocket. If you do that, what I love about Claude is you can create projects. And so I've got several projects for each client where I've already uploaded all their background information. I've uploaded their data, the previous content we've done. And so it's already smart. It's starting from an educated space. And so when I go back in to create my next piece of content, I'm really just picking up from where I left off.
Totally. And with these projects or even like custom GPTs, you can give it custom instructions every time. So it has the same prompts. So I have a couple saved for myself that I like to use voice notes a lot. And so I'll do a voice note, but sometimes the transcription isn't always great. So I have one that's or a custom GPT for transcribing my voice notes that I just do into the GPT, and it understands what I'm trying to say and makes my points a little bit more coherent with each of these. So totally recommend, like what Brian said here, spend that extra $20 a month for the projects there as well.
The other benefit I should add is that for that $20 a month, at least in some systems, not all, it actually also provides you privacy. So it means that whatever content you're putting in there, that system is not going to learn from it. So it's not going to learn from you and spit out something to somebody else one day that might be pulled from something you gave it. So for my clients, and I'm always completely transparent that I'm using AI and get their permission first, but I put in their email performance data. I put in a lot of their fact sheets and the content that we write together so that AI can work from there. If you just use the free version, you normally don't have those safeguards. But again, right. Every platform is different. So not like I think Google Gemini, no matter how much you pay, it's still taking your stuff and going to use it. But I know, for example, ChatGPT and Claude, if you're doing a paid subscription, it will protect that.
Yeah, I've one call out there for ChatGPT. I believe you have to turn it on to say, I want my data to be private, even if you're paying for it. So if you're paying for it, but you didn't flip that switch over, it's likely storing that info. All right, next question. Great one from Carol. How often does AI make up, lie, hallucinate?
About just as often as your 3-year-old. It depends on what you're asking to create. But if you're putting facts in there, don't be surprised to see some type of random data point that you didn't mention. So I would say it's not so terrible that you have to redo the entire thing, but it'll just sort of throw this random stat in there. You're like, where did that come from? So I would say regularly.
Yeah. That's why, again, like I mentioned before, it's super important to know what the data is trained on, and then also to make sure that whatever system you're using is ready to tell you no if it doesn't know. So if you haven't had a chance to play around in Quorum Copilot, definitely recommend that you give it a shot. All right. So great question.
That is the nice thing about something like Quorum, where it's trained on a very specific set of factual data, not just the whole internet. If your organization creates its own platform, AI platform, that it'll train specifically on your organization's information, that also does away with some of that hallucination. But if you're using the big platforms, it's going to happen.
No doubt. All right. So we got a question here is, do you have an AI model you would not use for advocacy work?
It's really a matter of personal preference. The way that I like to write and the way that I think is most effective and the data show me is most effective for writing, I find that Claude does the best job. ChatGPT does okay. I thought Claude did better. I personally haven't used Google much just because I'm putting client information in there and I know that it's not going to protect it. So I would always sort of lean towards something where I know I'm going to have some privacy. So I'm very comfortable with content that I'm in there, that I could, if you want a press release for information that you are quarantining for a certain number of days, I'd rather that be in a system where I've got some privacy than an open system or somehow or another that announcement could get out before I wanted to.
Perfect. All right. A lot of research suggests that certain AI models are overly reliant on certain sites. For example, Reddit is said to be the top search site for ChatGPT. In your prompts, are you telling to avoid certain sites or data sources?
Yes. So I will give you an example. In 2 weeks, I am going to Spain. I'm super excited, going on vacation with my wife, and I'm trying to find reviews for great restaurants and great things we should go do. And I'm literally telling it, I actually think Reddit's a great platform to search from. It's very objective. So I'm saying, all right, look, give me which ones are most recommended. And I'm saying use Reddit and TripAdvisor, but don't use Google or sites' own recommendations, their own reviews, because they make stuff up. So yeah, if you have certain places that you just don't think are reputable, absolutely tell it, focus on these and not those.
That's great. That's a really good call out about like saying don't choose from the organizations or like whatever the hotel's reviews are, right?
Yeah.
All right. Have you established a way or structure to give feedback and have AI only change the thing that you're giving them feedback on?
Definitely. Just like you would talk to a junior staffer. I love all this, but I don't like this one section. Please change this section to be more serious, more funny, put it in bullet points, take it out. So just like you want another human, just tell it what you want, the way you want it.
Great. All right.
And you're not going to offend it, which is, well, I guess we did a little bit today, but normally you're not going to offend it.
That's true. I guess we'll find out in 20 years from now if we offended it. How would I engineer a prompt to track a certain piece of legislation?
I'm going to toss that one to you, Patrick.
I was about to say, so this one is kind of with Quorum, we're able to track pieces of legislation based off of keywords, but also you can go into like one specific piece and get updates on any update, whether it's moving through the chamber, somebody else is talking about it, there's votes on it, somebody else co-sponsored, all that kind of fun stuff. So It's kind of tough to do with like one simple prompt. So I haven't seen like a good replacement for that kind of tracking through an LLM. But what I would say is really helpful is just to go in to get those alerts through Quorum and then go in and quick chat with it as well. So you can chat with the build to say, hey, what are the changes as of the past couple of days? It'll let you know if there's been any changes. All right. Do you have any recommendations for a good AI platform to create simple infographics?
So I haven't done as much creative content, but I will say an easy place to start, and you can actually, they do have a free version, is start with Canva. There are now hundreds and hundreds of graphic platforms out there. Some are better than others. Usually you've got to pay to really get good capabilities, but Canva is a great place to start for infographics and simple images. And there's a free version and a paid version.
Perfect. Here's a good question. How is Claude different than Microsoft Copilot?
So I'm just starting to use Microsoft Copilot. I haven't dug into it too much. I also haven't researched the security of it. So I don't have a great answer. I've seen some of the suggestions. If you use a Microsoft product now, you can see there's always sort of that button that shows up on the side that gives you suggestions. I haven't loved it so far. The other difference, at least as I've used it so far, and this might not be emblematic of all its capabilities, but Copilot is normally trying to edit what I've written, whereas I use Claude to actually, like you saw today, to write from scratch, to write from a prompt. I'm sure Copilot in Microsoft could do that too. I haven't just gone down that path yet. Again, I've sort of invested with Claude now. I've got a lot of good content in there. I know that I like its writing. So I've recently been sticking with that, but I do plan on playing with Copilot pretty soon.
Perfect. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play around too much with Copilot. By the way, on the right-hand side of your screen, there's a poll. If you're interested in chatting maybe one-on-one with Brian to learn about how you can use AI a good bit more in your advocacy strategy, on the right-hand side of your screen, there'll be a poll. You can just indicate that you're interested there, and then we'll send it over to Brian to follow up. All right, a couple other questions. I've created an assistant agent in ChatGPT that I am training for my work. Is there a general prompt that will help with that training, or do I need to be super specific in all my prompts once that assistant is trained?
Well, first of all, you should be teaching this training. I'm not sure why I'm up here. If you're creating your own assistants, that's great. I love that. Again, like anything else, the more specific you can be, the better output you're going to get. And so don't think about training as just a one-time thing, but an ongoing process. The more you feed it, the more you educate it. Like I said, I love feeding it performance data and other types of data. So it's going to just continually help it create better content for me. So I would say keep going, keep training it on a regular basis, and keep giving it those specific prompts to improve the outputs.
Great. All right. What is your second favorite behind Claude?
ChatGPT is pretty good too. Those are the two that I have mainly used. Again, I played with Gemini once. I wasn't a huge fan, but these things are always constantly improving too. So OpenAI just came out with their newest version recently. Claude just came out with its newest version. And so as these things keep going, I need to go back and try them again and again because they're constantly improving. So ChatGPT, I think, actually does a little bit of a better job with the data analysis part. But again, Claude just came out with their 5.0. And so it could be that their newest version even does a better job. So play with multiple versions, but don't feel like you got to try them all because then it just becomes too overwhelming. Pick one you love, pick another one to try, and just try the same prompt in both versions and see how they perform. The nice thing is you can just copy and paste the same prompt from one to the next. You don't have to start from scratch.
Yeah, I love that. I will say I use ChatGPT a good bit for myself. The other one that I'm starting to really like is Notebook LM, where I can train it on specific documents and just say like pull from these things. It's starting to like really come up there for me. All right.
It's also going to depend on the content, what kind of content you want to create regularly. Different platforms are going to be better with different types of content. For sure.
Also, I guess related to like your personal preferences on how you like your copy to sound. So for whatever reason, I like Copy AI just kind of got it for me, or not. Well, Copy AI did too, but OpenAI products totally just got it for me, whereas Claude didn't, I think, capture me as much. So I guess it just depends on the model. All right. Have you utilized Claude to create advocacy training materials and presentations?
Yes, and it's so good. Now, what it can do is that what I've used Claude to do also is create toolkits. So let's say I want to give volunteers a toolkit for doing an activity, an offline activity. It is great for that, but also for training materials. Now, what Claude won't do is it's not going to create PowerPoint slides for you. There are other platforms out there that's what they do. They create slides, they create PowerPoint or other types of slides with all the graphics and design and such and all the formatting. But what Claude will do, as well as other platforms, is it will give you the content to put on each slide. So you'll say, all right, here's the training I want, and then create a 10-slide training or a 10-minute training based on slides, and it will show you each slide and what content should be on each slide. The other thing I'm really excited about, I have not done it yet. I was hoping to do it over this August recess while Congress is gone, but there is this great podcast app that's out there, an AI podcast app, where you feed it a fact sheet or training materials, and it records a 15-minute audio podcast for you that you can then share with your volunteers. And it's not a computer voice. It sounds like a real voice. In some systems, you can even give it your own voice, and it'll record it in your own voice. But literally, you just, I'm working with a client for their upcoming lobby day. Like, oh, I'm still waiting for this person to give me the training and this person to record their training. And what they could do is just plug that fact sheet into this app, costs a little bit of money, and it will create that 10, 15-minute training in a podcast version for them. So lots of really cool capabilities out there. Yeah, beyond just the writing. So definitely use it for training and presentation materials.
That's super cool. Listening to a podcast of my voice sounds like a new level of narcissism I have not yet hit, but it's up there. That's step next. All right. Couple questions here. I think you said this, but can we use Quorum AI to ask for comparison between many different versions of a bill and companion bills? Yes, you totally can. So you can go into Quorum Copilot on a bill and say, how does this compare to XYZ? Or are there other bills very similar to this? Especially helpful as you're tracking bills across multiple states. All right, we only have a couple more minutes. I do want to mention we have another poll open. If you're interested in learning more about Quorum Grassroots, go ahead on the right-hand side and let us know if you're interested in seeing more about what that's all about. Okay, we got a little bit more. 3 minutes left. Let's go quick. Do you like Grammarly?
Yes, mostly. Okay. Yeah, it's good. It helps you avoid some stupid mistakes. But then it does get a little annoying after a while. But yeah, it's free. Absolutely. You should, if you're not using Grammarly or something else, absolutely download it. It's free. It's going to help catch some things and make you look smarter. Perfect.
What's the best AI summarizing note-taking app that's not Otter AI?
So one that I use, that I actually use the free version, which is also very good, is Fathom. I think it's fathom.media. But if you just type in Fathom AI, it's great. It gives you, it records it. It gives you an instant transcript. It shows you if someone's talking too much, like what percentage of the time they've been talking. It also lets you highlight key moments of the meeting while it's taking place, so that when you go back to see the notes, those sections are highlighted for you. So Fathom Video, Fathom.
That's pretty good. That's great. I find that the Google Meet one is pretty decent. That's one I've been relying on a good bit more. All right. I think we'll make this one the last question. Do you have a list of action verbs aligned to the 6 steps of prompting? I'm curious if there's any guidance around, here's a couple of options for you as you're thinking through each of these.
Gosh, you're ending with a hard question. All right.
It is a tough one.
List of action verbs aligned to the 6 steps. No, I don't. That's a yes/no question, right?
Yeah,
in journalism school, you never ask a yes/no question in an interview because you get a yes/no answer. I do not have a list, but again, just experiment. Don't just keep playing with that prompt, keep refining it, and you'll find those action verbs that work best for you to get the product that you want.
Perfect. This is also making me think back on what an action verb is versus other verbs. I got C's in English class, which is why Grammarly is really helpful. So I will say that when I'm drafting emails, I frequently use the term plain spoken, and that usually cuts out a lot of the jargony stuff. And that's usually really helpful for a lot of these different models. So those
verbs are really going to be different for every organization based on your audience and how you like to approach things. So even if I gave you 6, It'd be the 6 I probably use with my clients, but your organization could be completely different.
Awesome. That's so true. All right. Well, the little webcast thing is saying we got 24 seconds left. So thank you so much, Brian, for joining us. This was so much fun. This is some of the most fun I've had on a webinar in a long time. And thank you to everybody for tuning in and sharing your thoughts.